Jaguar is a brand most of us instantly recognize, from the iconic leaping cat logo to its long-standing image as a premium British automaker. In fact, Jaguar has been one of the most respected names in the UK's automotive history, with roots going back over a century. But as we've seen in recent years, this legacy brand is now facing one of the most critical and uncertain periods in its existence. According to reports from July 2025, Jaguar's European sales dropped by a staggering 97% compared to the previous year. On the surface, that suggests total collapse, but the reality is more specific. Jaguar has largely paused its vehicle production. In 2024, the company stopped producing most of its models. The official reason was to prepare for a full relaunch in 2026. One that promises a completely reimagined brand direction. In the meantime, Jaguar has focused on a high-profile rebranding campaign, one that in practice has triggered heavy public criticism, including remarks from Donald Trump. We've reviewed countless business case studies, and there are few stories quite like this one. A global brand, once celebrated for its craftsmanship and heritage, now finds itself in limbo between a fading past and an uncertain future. In this video, we take a closer look at how Jaguar got here. We'll explore the company's origins, rise to fame, and then walk through 5 key reasons behind its ongoing decline, each one grounded in documented decisions, real-world outcomes, and long-term business consequences. The origins of Jaguar trace back to William Lyons, the man behind its creation and early success. In 1922, with a £1,000 loan from a local bank in Blackpool, England, Lyons teamed up with William Walmsley to start the Swallow Sidecar Company. As the name suggests, they initially focused on building motorcycle sidecars. But within a decade, the business expanded. They launched their first car, the SS1, short for Standard Swallow. It quickly became the company's primary product. Just 2 years later, Lyons bought out Walmsley's share and renamed the company SS Cars. In 1935, Lyons began using the name Jaguar for a new line of vehicles. That name eventually took over. After World War II, as car production resumed, the company officially adopted Jaguar as its corporate name. The change was partly strategic to reflect the growing identity of the car brand, and partly to avoid associations with the SS initials, which had become linked to Nazi symbolism. By 1948, Jaguar introduced the XK120. That model would go on to define the brand's global reputation. With a top speed of 120 miles per hour, reflected directly in its name, it became the fastest production car in the world at the time. Jaguar initially planned to build only a few hundred units, but demand quickly exceeded expectations. Over the next few years, they produced more than 12,000. From these early steps, Jaguar was already laying the foundation for global recognition and future success. Following the success of the XK120, Jaguar began to establish itself as a serious player in the global automotive industry. Advertising during that time focused on 3 qualities: grace, space, and pace, defining the brand's identity. Jaguar didn't just talk performance, it proved it on the track. In the 1950s, the company made its mark in motorsport, winning the 24 Hours of Le Mans 5 times. For a performance brand, that was a major milestone. The 1950s and 1960s represented Jaguar's peak. In terms of brand image, we begin our list of reasons behind Jaguar's decline. As a premium car maker, Jaguar has always been more sensitive to economic shifts than mass-market brands. During downturns or periods of high inflation, consumers pull back on luxury purchases. And because Jaguar exports a large share of its vehicles, especially to the US, it's also exposed to currency fluctuations. Take 1966, for example. William Lyons, then 64 and nearing retirement, sold Jaguar to the British Motor Corporation.
At the time, inflation was hurting the auto industry, and Lions took the chance to exit with over $3 million while still retaining most of the voting shares. But trouble didn't end there. By 1975, the company faced more challenges, driven in part by economic slowdown and soaring fuel prices. Jaguar was the UK's largest car exporter, and its struggles raised concerns at national level. To prevent collapse, the British government effectively took control of the business. These events weren't isolated. They highlight a pattern. Jaguar's reliance on external markets and its premium pricing structure make it vulnerable to global economic shifts. In our view, this factor alone has repeatedly pushed the brand into difficult positions. And, as we'll see, economic instability wasn't the only problem Jaguar had to manage. Operational and technical issues would soon add more pressure.
Reliability is the next major issue. And for anyone familiar with Jaguar, this won't come as a surprise. Like many automakers, Jaguar has faced quality and safety concerns over the years, but some of theirs have had lasting impact. One of the more recent examples was with the 2019 I-Pace, Jaguar's electric SUV. According to official records, overheating battery issues led to 5 separate recalls. Eventually, Jaguar agreed to buy back over 2,700 of these vehicles. It damaged trust, especially in the electric segment they were trying to grow. But long before that, Jaguar's most notorious reliability problems came in the 1980s with the XJ models. Much of it was traced to Lucas Industries, the company that supplied Jaguar's electrical systems at the time. Those systems were widely criticized for being unreliable. In fact, Jaguar's incoming CEO in 1990 toured the factories and later described them as among the worst he had ever seen. While many of those issues were addressed during the 1990s, the reputation damage was already done. Even now, when people consider buying a Jaguar, lingering doubts about quality and reliability remain. That's a hard thing to shake, especially in the premium segment where long-term trust is everything. Another factor in Jaguar's decline is its growing association and competition with Range Rover. Both are iconic British brands, but in recent years, Range Rover has clearly taken the lead in attention, investment, and performance. To illustrate this, consider how the UK Prime Minister's official car has shifted over time. For years, the vehicle of choice was a Rover. That changed in the 1980s when Margaret Thatcher began using a Jaguar. But more recently, with Jaguar no longer producing the XJ, the government reverted to using Range Rovers and even Audis. Corporate ownership plays a big role in this shift. Jaguar was acquired by Ford in 1990 for $2.4 billion. 10 years later, Ford also bought Range Rover for $2.9 billion. Then, in 2008, both brands were sold together to Tata Motors for $2.3 billion, less than Ford had paid for either of them individually. In 2013, Tata formed Jaguar Land Rover Automotive to oversee both brands. Over time, Range Rover began to significantly outperform Jaguar in sales and profitability. Industry analysts have suggested that Range Rover has received more corporate support, while Jaguar often appeared to be the secondary focus. We believe this brand overlap limited Jaguar's ability to compete in the growing SUV market. Instead of carving out its own SUV identity, Jaguar was indirectly competing with its own sibling brand, one that was already better established and more profitable in that space. One of the most critical reasons behind Jaguar's long-term struggles has been its repeated attempts to become a profitable, mass-market brand, and the consistent failure of those efforts. This issue goes back decades. As early as the 1970s, Jaguar was losing money. It became a brand kept alive by parent companies willing to absorb the losses, hoping future reforms would turn things around. But despite new strategies and leadership, profitability remained out of reach. A defining moment came in 1980 when John Egan was brought in to rescue Jaguar. He was reportedly told by the parent company's leadership, "Turn it around or shut it down. It's bleeding us dry." A decade later, in 1990, Ford stepped in and bought Jaguar.
There were early expectations of a bidding war with General Motors, but GM walked away, stating that Jaguar's losses and required investment were too high. Even Ford admitted it was overpaying for the brand, banking on Jaguar's name recognition. The strategy was clear: increase production volume, reduce costs through scale, and finally, make a profit. That meant offering more models with broader appeal at lower price points. In some ways, it worked. Jaguar became more mainstream and even appeared in the 007 film Die Another Day. But this came with a trade-off. Jaguar was now competing head-to-head with BMW and Mercedes, brands with far more established infrastructures and global reach. After 18 years, Ford sold Jaguar, without ever reporting a profit. Tata followed a similar path, releasing new models that temporarily boosted sales. But according to Jaguar itself, none of those vehicles were making money. By 2023, BMW and Mercedes were selling 40 times more cars in the US than Jaguar. At that scale, Jaguar simply couldn't compete, and the strategy had clearly run its course. The final reason, and perhaps the most uncertain, is Jaguar's latest strategy, a complete reimagining of the brand. On paper, it sounds bold, but in practice, it could mark either a major comeback or the final misstep. Jaguar's goal is to move upmarket and target a younger, wealthier audience. All future models will be electric. More importantly, prices will nearly double. The idea is to make each car more profitable, reducing the need to sell in large volumes. Instead of trying to compete with BMW and Mercedes, where Jaguar has consistently fallen short, the new aim is to position itself closer to Bentley or Porsche. It's a major shift, but the risk is clear. Most of Jaguar's current customers won't follow, and attracting new ones to a legacy brand with mixed public perception is a tall order. They've already rebranded with a new logo, mixing uppercase and lowercase letters, and adopted the slogan, "Copy Nothing." The latest ad campaign, launched in late 2024, didn't even show a car. Elon Musk responded publicly, asking, "Do you sell cars?" That comment went viral. One top comment under the ad said, "The only brave thing here is leaving the comment section open." We'll have to wait and see how customers react when Jaguar's new lineup hits the market. Despite the brand's legacy and multiple corporate attempts to revive it, Jaguar has never found stable footing. Whether this radical shift will change that or accelerate the decline remains an open question.